Hey Crestwood, happy July 1st to you. We are officially halfway through the year, which is crazy, but so much to celebrate and so much to give thanks for here at Crestwood and in our own lives. I hope you are seeing those blessings and able to celebrate them even in the midst of the challenges that we face. It's such an honor for me to be your pastor and to bring you this devotional for this Wednesday, July 1st. So I'm thinking about the holiday coming up, July 4th, such a big day of celebration in our country and certainly lots to celebrate. I hope you have plans to be with family or to take some rest or to appropriately honor what we are celebrating that day, and that is the freedom that we have as a country. You know, I'm thinking about freedom and how it relates to both us as citizens of the U.S. and as followers of Jesus Christ, because, you know, Jesus has a lot to say about freedom in the Gospels, as does Paul, but it's a different kind of freedom, I think, than what we are used to when we talk about freedom as a country. Because when Jesus talks about freedom, when Paul talks about freedom through Christ, it is freedom from being beholden to the law. It is freedom from the penalty of sin. But it's also freedom for something. And what that freedom is for being obedient to who God is calling us to be, for being obedient to God's love, to God's grace, being obedient to who Christ is and what it means to be a follower of Christ. So that isn't an anything goes kind of freedom. It isn't you can't tell me what to do kind of freedom. And I feel like sometimes that's how it's used in our country, but it really is a freedom to be who God is calling us to be, within the confines of what that means. That doesn't mean we can just do anything we want, be anybody we want. We have to do things that reflect God's love in this world and reflects God's light in this world. And that is the freedom that we are called to live out. You know, 4th of July has always, for me, always been sort of a place of tension for me as a Christian because of the way that our government and our church have been brought together in things like Christian nationalism and how those things get conflated in ways that I think are antithetical to what the gospel says. But also, how do you celebrate that in church, right? It's a secular holiday. It does not have that religious grounding, and yet it's such an important holiday for us to understand what it means to be free, to worship freely, to express ourselves freely. And I know that different people feel different ways about that for sure. The lightning rod for that for a lot of people is the presence of the American flag in the sanctuary. I know there are some churches that do not have it because they don't like what that stands for by having that present. I know there are people in this congregation who feel very strongly that it should be in the sanctuary and very strongly that it should not be in the sanctuary. And so that's something that we have to, each of us, wrestle with in our own spirits about what that represents. For me, when I see an American flag in the sanctuary, it reminds me to pray for our country. It's not an endorsement of what our country is doing. It's not saying that God is sanctioning who we are as a country, but it is a reminder that we are to pray for our country and pray for God's will to be done in our country, for our leaders to follow the leading of God, follow the path of Christ and how they lead us. The American flag stands as a witness to the fact that we are citizens of this country, and therefore we are called to pray for this country and to live out our faith in a way that is true to who we are as followers of Christ, but also that honors who we are as a country. Now, there are times when those things go against each other, right? And that's where our own consciousness has to decide how we live out our faith, even if living out our faith goes against what we see happening in our country. And that's certainly happening for a lot of people in our world today. But it's that kind of tension that we're called to live in. We are called to live in the tension between what it means to be a citizen of the United States and what it means to be a follower of Jesus Christ. And when those things line up, boom, great, you're cooking with gas. When those things are counter to each other, that's where we have to use our consciousness and use the Spirit as a guide to decide how we live that out. So when I'm in the sanctuary on Sunday and I see the American flag, it reminds me, say a prayer for our country. Pray that God's will be done. Pray that God be present with us. Pray that we follow God's leading, even if it goes against what the leaders of our country are doing, because we are beholden, first and foremost, to the God that we know through Jesus Christ. And so whatever you feel about the flag, whatever you feel about this holiday in relation to the country, I want to encourage you to ground yourself in what it means to be a follower of Jesus Christ, and to let that grounding dictate how you live out your citizenship in this country, how you live out your faith in this world. This world needs us to be present. This world needs us to be faithful. This world needs us to be praying. So let's commit to those prayers. God bless you, Crestwood.